Imagine ancient Athens under the warm sun. In the bustling marketplace, Socrates stands out not by robes or riches, but by curiosity. He wanders the agora barefoot, posing questions rather than delivering lectures. People gather around this quiet thinker, not because he hands out answers, but because he helps others find answers in themselves. Socrates believed true wisdom begins with understanding yourself. This way of living might seem distant from our modern concerns, but his approach offers timeless lessons for anyone pursuing a goal. Socrates would begin by encouraging self-knowledge. He insisted on the importance of knowing thyself. Before you chase any achievement, take an honest look inward. Who am I, and what do I truly want? For example, if your goal is to learn guitar, pause and ask yourself, why guitar? Is it for personal joy, for performing, or for proving something to yourself or others? Knowing the real reason behind your goal gives it meaning and keeps you focused. If you value creativity more than applause, your practice might become more playful and less pressured. This kind of self-knowledge sets a strong foundation. It aligns your goal with your values and strengths. Next, adopt Socratic questioning as a tool. Socrates never just accepted ideas at face value. He challenged assumptions by asking why and how at every step. You can do the same with your plans. Instead of following advice blindly, question it. How do you know this method leads to success? What evidence do you have? Are there other ways to achieve the same end? Break your goal into parts and interrogate each part. If you plan to learn a language, for instance, ask, why this textbook? Why this schedule? Why not a tutor or conversation practice? By asking these questions, you may discover hidden assumptions. You might realize you assumed daily flashcards are enough, but questioning this reveals you also need speaking practice. Each question sharpens your understanding. In this way, Socratic dialogue trains your mind to think deeply about the process of learning itself. Couple this with disciplined reflection. Socrates famously declared that the unexamined life is not worth living. In practical terms, this means making time to reflect on your efforts. Set aside moments each day or week to look back on your progress and thoughts. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? What mistakes did I make, and why? Which strategies worked, and which did not? Writing a few lines in a journal or simply thinking it through quietly helps you catch patterns and learn from them. Over time, this regular reflection becomes a habit that guides you away from repeated errors and toward better methods. For example, a writer might reflect after a writing session. Which sentences felt right? Which ideas fizzled? By examining each step, you learn what helps you improve and make future practice more effective. Socrates also taught that virtue and habit go hand in hand with mastery. For him, living well meant practicing excellence of character. Think about the qualities needed for your goal and turn them into habits. If you want to become a skilled artist, for instance, you might cultivate patience as you practice, courage to try new techniques, and humility to learn from criticism. If you're aiming to be a great teacher, cultivate compassion, clarity, and perseverance. Each time you work toward your goal, do it with these virtues in mind. By repeating virtuous actions, showing up on time, admitting when you don't know something, pushing yourself a bit more each day, you train your character. Over weeks and months, these small acts of discipline and integrity compound. Just as a muscle grows through exercise, your personal excellence grows through repeated good habits. Don't forget how perspective and emotion play a role. Socrates noticed that our thoughts shape how we feel about events. When you face a setback, use a Socratic question to examine it. For example, if a missed practice session leaves you feeling like a failure, ask, why do I see it that way? Is missing one day really catastrophic, or just a normal part of the process? By treating your thoughts as objects of inquiry, you can separate fact from interpretation. You might imagine talking to yourself as a friend. Is this really so terrible, or just disappointing? Often we are kinder and wiser when giving advice to others than to ourselves. Socrates even used a trick of imagining himself in the third person for clarity. By using this method, anger or disappointment loses some power. What first felt like a disaster may turn out to be just a setback, and seeing it clearly allows you to move forward. Above all, keep wonder and curiosity alive. Socrates believed wisdom begins in wonder. Whenever you learn something new, pause and marvel at what you've discovered. Be curious about how pieces fit together. If you solve a tough problem or master a difficult song, let yourself be amazed at your own progress. These moments of excitement remind you why you started. Ask follow-up questions simply out of interest. Each insight leads to new questions. How did I improve this time? What can I explore next? By staying curious, learning becomes an adventure, not a chore. In the end, mastering any goal through the lens of Socrates means weaving thinking and doing together. You are not just following steps blindly. You are understanding each step deeply. You grow your skill and yourself at the same time. When you reach each milestone, notice the pride that comes both from achievement and from having learned along the way. Every success feels more meaningful when you know you shaped it with insight. Socrates would note that the real prize is the wisdom gained during the journey. Every goal becomes more than a finish line. It becomes a path to knowing who you are and what you can become. By practicing self-knowledge, asking questions, reflecting regularly, and living with integrity, you turn work into wisdom. Achieving the goal is then not just about the end result, but about living an examined and enriching life along the way. In this way, Socrates' age-old philosophy guides modern learners, step by step, mindfully, with curiosity, toward mastery.